On this channel, we have talked a lot about how to best learn a new language, but you know what is at least as important to know? The things that you should not do when learning a new language. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Hebah and this is Hebah's Rollercoaster. I make videos about languages, cultures, religion, identity, and all kinds of different stuff. So if you're interested, make sure you go check out my other videos, subscribe to my channel, and also go follow me on Instagram. I am so excited about today's video because I have a very special guest with me on my channel today who will help me in telling you guys about the things that you should not do when learning a new language. Mari, tell us about you.
Hi, my name is Mari, and in my YouTube channel I talk about how to learn languages consistently with the help of the community and creating study plans. In the very beginning, I will see these perfect studygrams and YouTube channels that had these beautifully written notes, and I will try to replicate that even though that wasn't my style. So I will spend hours making these notebooks look pretty, but then I will do nothing with them, and they didn't really help me improve or learn better in absolutely any way. So I will spend so much time on these notes, and they wouldn't end up being as pretty, first of all, and then also they wouldn't help me learn. But I continued doing it because I thought that that was the right thing to do because everyone was doing that, right? So I thought, if I'm not doing it, am I learning? Like, am I a language learner? If I don't have the perfect, beautiful notes that every study grammar has. And after doing other things, I realized that taking notes simply is not my style when it comes to language learning. I don't review notebooks. I only review directly from the material. And I don't even like taking notes. I might write like in a journal or with a purpose, like texting to a friend, but I'm not gonna like take notes. It's just something that doesn't help me at all. So if you're in a situation like me where you're feeling like you're taking these notes but you're not sure if they're helping you or not, maybe it's time you try something else. Maybe it's time you try to learn from a different perspective. For example, instead of taking notes, one thing I do is I speak out loud. I shadow the things I hear, and that's way more helpful to me.
Another field in which you might want to try a different approach is the way in which you learn vocabulary. As a language teacher, it is so important to me to tell my students to not only memorize lists and lists of vocabulary. I mean, thinking back to my own high school years and my own language learning process, I used to do that a lot. And then I would be wondering why I can't use the vocabulary that I just memorized. The answer is simple. It's because that is exactly what I did. I just memorized tons of vocabulary, but I did not really put any effort into properly understanding how to use these vocabulary items. So I did not really understand in which context I could actually use these pieces of vocabulary. I could only give you a word-to-word translation from German to English and English to German, but that's it. So basically, you become a walking dictionary by just memorizing lists of vocabulary. And you will probably also quickly forget the words that you memorized. My tip for you, make sure you narrow down the vocabulary items that you need. Instead of memorizing hundreds and hundreds of different vocabulary items, just pick, let's say, 20 to 30 vocabulary items that you think are most important to you. Mainly focus on really understanding these 20-30 vocabulary items. Look them up in the dictionary, learn them within a phrase, memorize phrases in which they are used. Look at different ways of using these pieces of vocabulary. Really put the time and effort into each of those vocabulary items. This will be much more effective and helpful to you instead of just memorizing lists and lists of vocabulary. Context is everything, especially when it comes to vocabulary.
In my opinion, the absolute worst mistake you can make is not learning about culture. And it's never, by the way, it's never too soon or too early to start learning about culture, because culture and languages are so tightly knitted together that one influences the other. And you can't learn language to conversational fluency unless you understand the culture that surrounds it, that shapes it, The way I see it is that culture is the soul of the language, is what brings it to life, right? Because what is a language without the people that speak it and the culture that surrounds it? And in the same sense, you will never be able to fully understand a culture until you speak their language and you can learn it from the native speakers, the people that grew up with that culture. What I have found is that people that avoid learning about culture and that avoid talking to others and having that social interaction with the people that grew up with that culture is that they will always hit a wall. They will always hit a ceiling when it comes to language learning, and they will likely get stuck in the intermediate plateau or even earlier than that. They're also more likely to lose motivation because they don't feel that strong connection with the language than those of us who are strongly and highly connected to that other culture. So as soon as you can, go ahead and talk to people who grew up with that culture, who speak that language natively. Watch the documentaries, read about the history, go on YouTube, follow the vloggers, see how their lives are, see what words they use in different occasions, see how they refer to different people. All of this is going to give you great information about how to speak that language.
And because language learning is all about experience and about exploring the world, it should also take place exactly there, in the world, and not in the grammar books. At least that's my opinion. And this is coming from a language teacher. So this does not go to say that grammar books can't be a useful tool and very important material for learning, but they should not be your only source of input and practice. Instead, use them as a tool that helps you on your actual language learning journey, which should actually be that, a journey. So it should take place outside in the world. It should be taking place in a hands-on, natural, and diverse way. So my personal tip would be, instead of going through tons and tons of grammar books and grammar exercises, just find people to talk to. Listen to podcasts and music, watch movies and TV series, explore and experiment with a variety of different material. Because this way you will also receive a variety of input that is authentic and real. And that does not only exist within a grammar book, but as we said, that exists outside in the real world, which is also the place in which you would like to use your target language. So because languages exist in the real world out there, and because you want to use your target language in the real world out there, it is also important that a really big proportion of your language learning process takes place in the real world out there. How many times have I said real world? Real world, world, real world. It's not a very easy word to say, because you have like RLD, world. Moving on to Mari.
And please don't try to learn all the languages at once and expect to become like fluent in 3 months in all 3 languages. Like when I started learning languages, I wanted to learn all the languages at once because I saw these like polyglots speaking like girl that speaks 1 million languages in just 5 minutes and she's just 17, and I was like, damn, I want to be that person, even though I was like 20. It's like, I want to be a young person who speaks a lot of languages. So I tried to learn all the languages at once. The reason why it didn't really work is because I was spreading myself too thin, and because can someone really learn 5 languages at the same time? Like from scratch? Like from nothing? Does anyone have the time to do that? I don't think so. Now I laugh about it, but I really thought I was very serious about trying to achieve that. So I find there are 2 sides of this. On the one side, or on the one hand, I do believe, and I'm convinced that if you learn 1 language at a time, you will progress faster. And that is the most efficient way of learning, and that is the fastest way to learn a language. Because you will dedicate all your time, energy, and resources, and your money into just 1 language, and into just 1 culture, and into fully experiencing this language. That's the fast, efficient way of learning, and that works very well. But if you're like me and you can't pick any language and you're just like, I just love them all, and you also don't have a need to learn languages, you just do it for fun, so you just want to get to know as many cultures and as many people and speak as many languages as possible just because it's fun to you, I will personally tell you to find how many languages you can learn at the same time. To me, it's 3, just because I learned 1 in the morning, 1 in the late afternoon, and 1 before I go to bed. That works for me sometimes. Sometimes I only do 2. Sometimes I only do... No, I never do just 1. It's either 2 or 3 that I'm actively studying. And also know, and you have to accept the fact that when you learn multiple languages at once, you're going to progress slower, and you're going to be likely spending more time studying. So you're going to study more because you're going to be spending, because you're going to be learning more languages, but you're going to progress slower. And if that's something that you're into, then that's okay. Then you can do it. But do not expect to learn the 3 languages at once and progress like if you were learning 1. In the same sense, don't try to expect fluency in 3 months if you're only studying 20 minutes a day, Monday to Friday, right? So the more we study, the more we learn. The more we interact with the language, the more we learn.
The last tip that I want to give you today is probably one of the most important things to consider and one of the most important things to not do when learning a new language. Don't rush things. Learning a new language takes time, practice, patience, and dedication. On some days, things go very smoothly and you make great progress. And on other days, on other days, things just seem to not work out. You feel like you're standing still and you're not making any progress at all. Know that both of these scenarios are very normal and natural, and they are both also very important for your own language learning journey. So be patient, especially with yourself. Take the time you need. Don't compare yourself to others. If certain things take you longer than others, then that's how it is. And by the way, all of those tips are not just for you, but also for us. So remain realistic with yourself and with the expectations that you have of yourself, just to make sure that you can actually fulfill them. I hope that Mari and I could fulfill your expectations of this video, and that we could actually give you a few tips to help you with the things that you should not do when learning a new language. Big thanks to Mari for joining me in today's video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and go follow me on Instagram. This was it for today's video. I'm gonna see you next Monday with another video. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.